Welcome to the Taylor Emmet Podcast. Honestly, not another boring legal podcast. I'm John Green, a personal injury solicitor at Taylor Emmet, and I'll be your host over this series of 6 podcast episodes. We're going to bring you the human stories behind what we hope will be interesting legal subjects. I'm going to be chatting to a smattering of experts from around the firm about what they do, who they are, and hopefully with a few smiles along the way. Right, let's meet today's guest. On today's Taylor Emmet podcast, we are joined by Kat May to discuss life working as a solicitor in the fascinating field of clinical negligence. Hello, Kat.
Hi.
Hi, good start.
How are you today?
I'm fine. I mean, we have been sat opposite each other most of the morning.
I was going to say, I didn't know how you are, but still. Nice to double check after dinner.
I know. So, Kat, clinical negligence. A lot of the sort of media perception and the coverage seems to be that medical negligence solicitors hate the NHS. Do you hate the NHS?
No, I love the NHS, obviously. Also, can you stick with either clinical or medical? It's very annoying. Call it one or the other. Clinical negligence is less confusing for people because then they know that it doesn't just mean medics.
Well, go on then, explain the difference.
So there's no actual difference from a dictionary point of view. But medical, the perception, and I've done quite a lot of studies on this, medical, the perception of it amongst clients and the general public is that you just mean doctors.
Right.
Maybe nurses as well sometimes, but generally people think you mean doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Clinical, people tend to understand as being just broader ranging, so physiotherapists, occupational therapists, dentists, all that sort of thing. So that's why we use clinical. That's the first thing that we'll go with, a rebuke for using 2 different sets of terminology.
Right,
so we call
you.
it clinical negligence, but no, we don't hate the NHS. We just think it's sometimes quite ineffective.
Okay.
But we what we would like to see and what we would hope the NHS would engage with more often, unfortunately they don't at the moment, but we can keep striving towards it, is we'd like to see the NHS engage more with litigation outcomes and the lawyers that help patients achieve those outcomes to try to effect change.
What, so to change the systems so that they don't end up with claims at the end?
Yeah, and to correct errors that are made repeatedly. There are some errors that are just one-off errors, they're circumstantial. It might be that somebody's just having a bad day, and that's unavoidable. There needs to be a system of compensation for those individuals if it's gone wrong negligently. But sometimes there is no learning to be had from it. As such, anyway, it's just a bad day.
Just a cock-up.
Just a cock-up, just a one-off cock-up. Somebody went to bed a bit too late and is too tired to do the job. But there are some systemic failures, and we see repeat problems, and we sometimes see repeat names, certainly names of hospitals, sometimes even names of doctors. And what we would like is more engagement with the NHS as claimant lawyers to, as I say, improve those outcomes so we can try to reduce the amount of litigation against the NHS, but also make it a more effective, more cost-effective and more efficient service for everybody, and then see savings. It's a big myth. You know, there's loads of stuff in the press about how much it costs the NHS to litigate and all the rest of it. I mean, it does cost them a lot of money, but that would be the case regardless. You know, there's always going to be litigation, things are always going to go wrong. The figures are always taken out of context, but still, the figures could be significantly reduced if they would learn more frequently than they do.
So is it quite an adversarial process at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are occasions when it isn't. And if you were to ask an NHS lawyer, they'd say no. And I would say that there are occasions when it's more adversarial than it needs to be, simply because of a lack of proactivity.
And is that because they haven't got enough staff, or because they sit on things for too long and don't engage?
I mean, who's going to be listening to this podcast? I would say that from the outside looking in, there might not be enough staff, but I would say that there is a culture perhaps of shorter working hours, lower caseloads, that sort of thing, than you would see in a claimant environment. For example, I've worked on cases where case handlers at the NHS are, when I've tried to get in touch with them, I've been off on holiday for 3, 4, 5 months.
Nice.
And the case is not passed on to anyone else. And then you end up in a situation where your limitation date is approaching. You've got nobody that's responding to you at the NHS, so you have to issue proceedings. And it therefore becomes a more adversarial process.
Because the court's involved.
But you have no choice as the claimant lawyer, because you have to protect your client's position.
And if you miss the limitation date, what? you get sued.
You're going to get sued, yeah.
I see.
So I have come across that. But having said that, there are some excellent case handlers within NHS Resolution and within the defendant group of solicitors that NHSR have on their panel. We would usually clap our hands with glee when it gets transferred to a solicitor.
From the NHS's in-house.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Because those law firms obviously operate more closely in line with how we do.
Yeah. So your clients, I guess, are coming to you at a really bad time in their lives.
Yeah.
And I suppose what I see in the media is this other perception that lawyers are these kind of stern, emotionally detached people. I mean, I'm using that in air quotes, that word. And I sit next to you sometimes and I see the way you talk to your clients and the way you kind of get in and you sort of know about their lives and stuff. Is that something that just you do? Is that just a really important part of the claimant clinical negligence solicitor's role?
Very good question, Mr. Green.
That was about 4 questions, actually.
It was, yeah. I've got a lot to say on the subject. Oh. I think that, I mean, part of it's my personality anyway, I think. But I think overall, you could do with being like that if you're a claimant lawyer. The same as in your world. You know, you need, as a claimant lawyer, PI context, clin neg context, whatever, you need to be able to be empathetic. Mm-hmm. And from my point of view, the way that I find I can display my empathy, I think, is to kind of just be how I am with everybody else. I think I'm a relatively friendly person generally. I love a chinwag. So
that's why she's here.
That for me has always worked in terms of building a rapport with my clients. But I also, because when I was at university, as you know, when I was at university, I was a bank auxiliary nurse. So I did that all the way through my law degree. So I've seen it from that side. I've actually worked on wards. I've worked with patients. I've built the rapport with them from that side of the coin. And I've kind of just taken that forward into this line of work as well. But also, because I work personally, obviously, over the years, I've done a lot of work with children who've got quite catastrophic brain injuries. And my style, obviously my coloured hair and the clothes I like to wear and what have you, has always helped with that, because the kids like, for a start, I think it breaks down the barrier that they're no offence, but they're expecting to see a middle-aged white guy in a suit, basically. No offence taken. And I obviously am not like that on many levels.
For the listener, I should explain that Kat has blue hair and is wearing a vintage 1960s dress today.
Yeah.
And I only know that because she told me what it was.
I know.
I'm not a
sartorial information there that I gave you this morning.
Thank you.
So yeah, but I think, obviously there are lots of people in my team, and all of the people in my team have got their own way of being very empathetic to the clients. I would say that it's definitely a job you would find harder if you were not particularly able to empathise.
Yes.
Because you need to get a lot of information out of your client at a time when they're feeling really vulnerable. I seem to have inadvertently, although I'm quite happy to have done this, made a name for myself in obs-gynae cases. So I do a lot of the obstetric cases.
Just explain what that is.
So obstetrics and gynecology. So you will usually, somebody who works in that field clinically will usually be an obstetrician and a gynecologist. You occasionally get people who lean more to one than the other. Mm-hmm. Obstetrics is basically anything around pregnancy and birth. Gynae is obviously anything around the female reproductive system. So the two will often cross, because you might get mum who has a traumatic birth. Yeah. She might, for example, suffer with quite a significant tear and then need treatment for that, and then that might interfere inappropriately and negligently with her reproductive system. So there could be, when they're mending the tear, there might be some stitching error that involves the reproductive system and that sort of thing. Then it leans into gynecology. But then I also do some gynecology work which is independent of any obstetrics. It's not related to birth at all. I seem to have got quite a lot of cases at the moment that involve endometriosis. But I've got a whole range of gynae cases. It's not all I do, but they definitely seem to come to me. It's not exclusive to gynae cases, but there are a lot of issues often with women in this scenario where they've got a lot of psychological damage as a consequence of what's gone wrong, but they might feel really vulnerable telling you about it. So sometimes you might find they just shut down. So you need to be able to spot it, first of all.
Sure.
Some of which comes with experience. You need to be able to see when somebody's been really defensive. And also, I guess, know what the likelihood is of somebody who's been through that experience suffering a psych injury. So you can gently...
Pretty high, I should imagine.
Yeah. So, but you need to kind of know that, and you need to be able to spot the signs. And then I think you need to be able to deal with them in such a way that you empathetically address it, whilst also teasing out of them enough information to build a claim on the psych injury as well as the physical injury.
Yeah. So that first meeting's critical. You've got to get them to let their guard down straight away.
Yeah.
And get them to trust you, crucially.
And my own way of doing that, there's lots of other ways of doing it that different people do, but one of my own ways is to give up a bit about myself.
Yeah.
Because if I give up something about me, that's going to make them feel more able to give something up about themselves.
Yeah. Because I imagine, like, talking about a problem like that is hard enough, even with your nearest and dearest, let alone a complete stranger.
Yeah. And a lot of people haven't. A lot of people don't. Because we also get sort of cases from women who are perhaps belong to a different religion or a different culture, because they're often overrepresented in terms of presenting within the NHS, and then underrepresented in terms of how well they do, the outcomes in the NHS, because there can be language barriers, there can be cultural differences that are not addressed within the NHS and all sorts of things. So we sometimes, I would say probably, I've never actually done any statistics on it, but certainly in gynae cases, I think we perhaps are, the numbers are perhaps disproportionately affect people from BAME backgrounds. And I think that brings with it its own, I don't want to say difficulties, that's not right, its own challenges, I suppose, because you might get women who, for example, don't feel comfortable at all having a discussion with anybody, because culturally that's not what you do. And we have to be able to deal with that sensitively as well, because obviously, they deserve compensation as much as anybody else does. Yeah. And the fact that they can't talk about it as freely is my problem, not theirs. And then I have to work out the way to break down that barrier so they will give me that information.
Was there a point at which you just thought, this is what I want to do? I want to be a clinical
yes.
negligence solicitor? Yes.
Very, very definitely.
And was that from being a nurse, or was that when you were at uni, and when did it happen?
Well, I wanted to be a doctor.
Right.
Then my mother told me that I was scared of blood. I am not scared of blood. She was scared of blood, but I went, oh, all right.
See how your parents do that?
Yeah. So she was like, be a lawyer instead. So I said, okay then. So then I went to university and I thought, good grief, I don't like any of this. What am I going to do? This is a waste of time.
Really boring, isn't it?
All of it. I really did just think, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is a waste of a degree,
I think they do it to like sort the wheat from the chaff, like get rid of the...
Yeah, I think they do.
They do.
I just thought...
But you stuck at it.
I stuck at it, and then third year, chose my electives. I thought, I'll go for medical law because I wanted to be a doctor. And I turned up, and my lecturer, Malcolm Kahn, immediately, me and Malk, best mates. And I thought, this is it, this is me done. Clin Neg is my jam, I thought to myself.
Did people use phrases like that far back?
I don't know. Can you remember being almost exactly the same age?
I can't even remember university, but that's for completely separate reasons that we won't go into.
Yeah, I mean, my memories are vague, but a lot of that is to do with reasons the same as yours, and also the other bit is to do with the fact that a lot of it was really boring, but not Malcolm Kahn's lectures.
Ah, you see, a good teacher.
And then I think the nursing side of it, I went into that partly because of my interest in it. It was a bit chicken and egg. I needed a job to pay my way through university. I was a bank nurse, which meant I could do my hours when I wanted to do them, which fitted nicely around my season ticket that I had at Hillsborough at the time. I was at university in Newcastle, and it meant I could come home for the football.
She used to come back down to Sheffield every couple of weeks to go to Hillsborough?
Religiously.
Oh, my God.
And then I'd go to St James's Park with my boyfriend the other weekend. He was a Newcastle fan.
So proper, hardcore fans at both ends.
Until I discovered bottomless brunches on Saturdays. And, now
many a checkered
what Wednesday
path.
Are doing.
Yeah. No, yeah. Can you even name any of the Wednesday players now?
No, which is shameful, I know. But, bottomless brunch is great.
So would you say that you were a Glory supporter?
Not back then. All over the country I went. Wembley 4 times in 1993.
I think you've just basically described a Glory supporter there.
Yeah, because it was actually...
They were quite good then.
That I started to discover other things.
I know. Right, so you've been a a clinical negligence solicitor for what we're talking? Must be 2 decades.
17 years.
Let's say you're at the start. You're a fresh-faced youngster straight out of uni.
Thanks.
You've done your I'm talking about before. you've got to your first firm. You've done your training contracts. You've started your first seat. You're a clinical negligence solicitor. You've made it. Let's say you could go back in time now and see that young kitten.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Go and see young kitten and say, what would you have any tips?
Oh, that's a good question, isn't it?
Did you have
God.
really good training principles and solicitors that guided you through at that stage in your career?
Well, I absolutely loved my training principal, but he did rather let me get on with it.
Okay.
Which I think has stood me in good stead going forwards, because I was dropped in at the deep end quite a lot, shall we say.
Sure. Do you want to give a shout out?
No.
Or is that not your jam either?
No. I was dropped in at the deep end in my very first job after uni, after qualifying, which was at a different firm to where I trained.
Right.
And it taught me a lot. I don't know as I'd give myself any advice, really. I think actually it was the best thing for me, because it then became a bit of not even a stepping stone, really. It was more of a leap to move to a bigger firm where I worked for somebody who I did not get on very well with, but again was actually an excellent person to learn from. Mm-hmm. And I think the fact I'd been dropped in at the deep end in the job previously meant that I could work for him and actually derive quite a lot of benefit from that. And
I see at work you mentor a lot of the younger lawyers coming through. Do you think that experience has helped you with all the mentoring you're doing now?
Yes, because it taught me what not to do.
Sure.
It taught me the value of supervision, because I didn't have a great deal of close supervision, and it did teach me the value of that. And it also taught me the value. I didn't have many female role models, and it's still a man's world. Even though there are more women in law, there are far fewer women in senior roles in law. And I did not really have any great female role models, as I say. So I think I learned more by what I didn't have, I think, than what I did have. But I don't regret that. I think that for me, that shaped my career and who I am now.
And it allowed you to become a great female role model.
Well, totally. I mean, I imagine there'll be a shrine to me somewhere when I pop my clogs.
Yeah. I think we've already got one, actually. I think Cat May Corner is over there.
That's great. Oh, I've not seen it yet. I'll go over later. Yeah. I imagine it's got piles of my shoes around it.
Yeah, listeners should know that in the last office Cat worked in, she had what I can only describe as a shoe stair.
I did.
It was like a footstool.
Well, what are they called? Like a step ladder, but
a step ladder that was bedecked with expensive-looking footwear.
Well, now they're divided between a few pairs under my desk at AG and a few pairs in my locker, just there.
Very nice.
So there you go. Lee said, because we hot desk here, I could not bring my shoe stair.
That's Lee, our head of facilities, who
Lee Stacey
declined the opportunity to come on the podcast, citing COVID.
Yeah.
We're not convinced about that. What's the most interesting case you're working on at the moment?
That is a difficult question, because all of my cases are very interesting, but I've got a few that have got aspects to them which are independently quite interesting. I find cases where clients have got significant vulnerabilities due to psychological problems brought about either because of the negligence or exacerbated by the negligence. I find those really fascinating, and I find myself very driven to help those people. I mean, I'm driven to help every client, but those people who really find it difficult to convey their problems and definitely want to bury it down, I find it really satisfying, actually, getting to the nub of what the problem is and then showing them that we can help them and we can get them the right help that they need so that they can get their life on a different track.
And it must be really rewarding when you get to the end of a case after, sometimes 3, 4, 5 years?
Yeah.
Do you keep in touch with any of your old clients?
Yeah, I do, 1 or 2. I've got one client from way back when, and that was a really sad case. It was a lady who was widowed when she got a newborn baby, or a very young baby, and I represented her and her baby, and she still keeps in touch with me. That's really nice. And then I'm vaguely in touch with the biggest case I've ever settled, which was for a little girl who had a birth injury and had a significant problems as a consequence of cerebral palsy and other conditions as well that all stemmed from the same injury. And I settled her case on Valentine's Day, actually, at a very, very, very long and exhausting RTM.
What's an RTM?
A roundtable meeting.
Right.
Which was so satisfying because we should have had a split trial, but a split trial was not ordered, so it was a full... The RTM was on both liability and quantum, which it never normally would be. So it was really super stressful. I just found out I was having my own baby.
Marnie May.
So the only downside was I wasn't able to engage with the overflowing champagne afterwards. I had to stick with a ginger beer. But that was really, really satisfying. That goes down as probably one of the best days of my life. After wedding day, birth of child, 3rd of April 1993, when Wednesday Amage United.
Oh, I was there. That was brilliant.
I was there too.
Was that
your
your best
mum took
ever
up smoking
Valentine's
again
Day?
that day. She did, genuinely. She took some cigarettes in a bag to Wembley and she was like, just in case. But yeah, so that was the best. Well, it was one of the best Valentine's days.
Is your husband going to listen?
Sorry,
to
Mr. May.
So, I mean, I can't believe it, Kat. I'm out of questions.
That is incredible.
I'm out of questions.
It's because we don't talk about work ever.
I know we don't talk about work.
We could talk for hours about nonsense, and we do.
Well, yeah, we do. That's fair. So, your maiden name is Kat Turner. Is that also a hobby?
Well, my maiden name is Turner. My name's always been Kat, married or not.
So...
Turner, also a hobby? Yes, it is.
And what's your favourite cat to turn?
A Siamese.
Oh, Siamese are awful.
I know, but I can't think of any other types of cats.
No, I thought you might say like tiger or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd not thought about that. I wasn't
There's a
going
whole
down the
world
big
of cats.
cat route. I was thinking of the more domesticated variety.
Sure, fair. What are those bald ones called?
I don't-
Sphinx cats.
Oh, yeah. No,
Would you turn a Sphinx cat?
They're a bit scary, aren't they? I'd turn it away from me so I don't have to look at it.
There you go. You see, you're well named, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Well, I think that's it. Well, thank you very much, Kat. That was really interesting. Thank you very much for giving up your time and coming on and having a chat with us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh.
We have never had such a highbrow chat.
No, we haven't, and we never will again.
No, we won't. Let's never discuss this again.
Thanks very much for listening. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you'd like to learn more about any of the subjects we've touched upon, we've handpicked some free resources for you, which we will put in the show notes. There's also loads of info on our website, so head over to tayloremmet.co.uk. If something we've spoken about today has given you a burning desire to speak to a solicitor, and let's face it, why wouldn't it have? Then we'd love to speak to you. Head over to the website again, that's tayloremmet.co.uk for more information. You'll find all our contact details right there, so give us a shout. We're lovely, I promise.